we're going to do another example. We've got potassium bromide, aqueous, dissolved in water, plus chlorine, subscript 2, because it's diatomic, 7 diatomic elements, yields, produces, forms, whatever you want to use for your arrow, potassium chloride, plus bromine. Bromine's another one of the 7. So we're going to look at and determine which elements are oxidized, which elements are reduced. Okay? So if we go back to our steps, we've got to balance our equations. In this case, we're looking, chlorine's got 2, so we got to get 2 over on this side. We're going to use coefficients. Once we mess up this side, we're going to come back over to this side. We're going to put a 2. 2 potassiums, 2 potassiums, 2 bromides, 2 bromides, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. Okay? Make sure coefficient distributes through the whole compound. Subscripts are individual elements. So, step 2, assign the oxidation numbers for each individual element. Ionic, we know there's positive and negatives. If it's a single element, or we can add diatomic, we get the 0. So, ionic compound, positive, negative. We always know the nonmetal, -1. Column 17, 7 valence electrons, we need 1. So this must be a +1. Chlorine's diatomic, but it's a single element, not in compound. So we're giving it a 0. Do the same thing for our products. -1, +1, single element gets a 0. So that's step 2. Now we're going to ask the question, what's happening with the electrons from reactant side to product side? So list each element and then determine if it's gaining or losing. So we're going to list our elements, K, Br, and Cl. Charge goes from a +1 all the way over to a +1. So we can see nothing happened, right? So we can kind of get rid of that guy. We're going to go with bromine. -1 all the way over to a 0. Something happened. Chlorine went from a 0 all the way over to a -1. So now we're going to say, well, are we gaining the electrons or are we losing the electrons? Go back to our 2, whichever one you want to use, mnemonic devices. Oil rig. Oxidation is loss of the electrons, or you can use the word first. Loss of electrons is oxidation. Reduction is a gain of electrons, or gaining of electrons is reduction. Means the same thing. So, bromine, -1 to a 0. And we said if you lose a negative attitude, become more positive. So we're going from a -1 to a 0. So what are we doing? Are we losing electrons or are we gaining electrons? We are gaining. Let me get blue. So we have a gain of electrons. You sure?
Oh, we're losing.
Yeah.
We're losing.
You sure?
I thought we were losing.
If we're going from a -1 down to a 0,
We're losing.
we're losing, right? So get green. So this is a loss of electrons. Here, going from a 0 to a -1. Might be easier to start with the gaining, because you know if you're becoming more negative, right? So this is a gain of electrons. So this is either your Leo or your what?
Red. Oh.
I did it in the wrong colors, guys. Messed me up. That won't be good. Okay, go back to my colors then. So what's this color? This is a loss of electrons, right? And loss of electrons is
Oxidation.
oxidation. So we would say that bromine is oxidized. Okay? We went from a 0 to a -1, so we are gaining electrons. There's a reduction. And we would say that chlorine is reduced. And that's it.